Transition and Atlantic Television Network. Delta State Police Command on Tuesday announced that it arrested over 100 gay suspects carrying out a gay wedding ceremony in a hotel in Delta State. In a post on its official X, formerly Twitter handle, the state police said it will parade the suspects shortly. Since signing the anti-gay law in 2014, people believed to be homosexuals have been arrested and paraded by security operatives. In December 2020, the Lagos State Police Command arrested 10 individuals suspected of homosexual activities in a brothel located in Okota area of the state. Earlier in 2018, the police in the state paraded 57 men for alleged homosexual activities at Kelly Ann Hotel in Ibadan. In January 2022, 8 alleged homosexuals were arrested in a hotel in Isolo, Lagos for alleged gay activities. Imo State governorship candidate of the Labour Party, Senator Athan Achonu, has described the endorsement of Governor Hope Uzodinma by some elders in the Imo West senatorial zone as based on selfishness and deceit. Achonu stated this to newsmen in Owerri while reacting to the endorsement drama of the elders in the state. Recall the Imo State Elders Council had endorsed Senator Hope Uzodinma's second-term ambition for governor of the state. The elders also adopted a charter of equity for the rotation of key political offices among 3 senatorial zones, which includes the position of governor, deputy governor, and speaker of House of Assembly. In a communique issued at the end of its quarterly meeting, the council noted that the charter provided the governorship of the state will rotate among 3 zones, Olu, Okigwe, and Owerri, for 8 years each. The Labour Party gubernatorial candidate, through his Director General Office campaign, Chime Nzeribe, said those elders were stingy with the truth and did not want Governor Uzodinma to be aware of the level of damage done. He noted that everything about the elders' communique is repugnant and smacks of selfishness. Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Amba, will on Friday, September 1st, unveil a 1.6 trillion naira pipeline of 30 projects at the first Enugu State Investment and Economic Growth Stakeholder Roundtable. The governor is also scheduled to launch the Enugu State Integrated Sector-Based Productivity Growth Strategy. This was made known in a statement released by the Secretary of the State Government, Prof. Chidiebere Onya, in Enugu. According to Prof. Onya, this is in line with Governor Amba's determination to grow the Enugu state economy from $4.4 billion to $30 billion. He said the Investment and Economic Roundtable, which is the precursor to the launch of the maiden multi-stakeholder and fully transactional diaspora investment scheduled for the second quarter of 2024, would hold in Enugu and also draw investors from across various industries locally and internationally. Edo State government has disbanded the media crew attached to the office of the Deputy Governor, Philip Shaibu. Governor Godwin Obaseki also directed Shaibu to henceforth request for media coverage of his activities from the Ministry of Communication and Orientation. Obaseki stated this in a statement issued by the Commissioner for Information, Chris Osa Nehikare. The directive followed that the unfortunate incident that happened during the colloquium held to mark the 60th anniversary of Midwest referendum, where some journalists who claimed to be the media crew of the deputy governor attempted to force their way into the hall where the governor and other dignitaries were already seated. Suspected deployment racketeer Abdullah Rahman Junaidu has been arrested by Funtua, Katsina State, by the police for allegedly issuing fake employment letters and fraud. Junaidu was alleged to have issued employment offers to 2 unsuspecting young men, Abdullahi Abubakar and Isiya Iliasu. A statement issued by the head corporate communication Kaduna Electric, Abdulaziz Abdullahi, said the bubble burst when Abdullahi Abubakar and Isiya Liasu presented the fake employment letters for documentation as new employees at the Zaria regional office of the company. It stated that the security division of the company, in collaboration with the police, trailed Junaidu to Funtua, where he was eventually arrested by the Funtua Police Division. Preliminary investigation conducted by the police revealed that the suspect was working with one Aliyu Sani from Sokoto, who is currently at large to defraud unsuspecting members of the public of millions of naira. The Kaduna Electric spokesman said the company would leave no stone unturned to ensure that the suspects face the full weight of the law. He said the practice was morally reprehensible and criminal, adding that the culprits will be brought to justice. He advised members of the public to be wary of fraudsters and report such criminals to the company. Kano State government has reduced the registration fees charged by the state-owned tertiary institutions. Commissioner for Higher Education in the state, Dr. Yusuf Kofamota, stated this on Monday while briefing with journalists at the Government House, Kano. He further explained that the decision was reached during the meeting between the heads of tertiary institutions and the governor of the state, Al-Aba Kabir Yusuf. According to him, the 50% reduction was in consideration of the current economic situation created by the removal of fuel subsidy. He said the reduction affects all Kano State indigenes studying regular courses for 2023-2024 academic session at the Aliko Dangote University of Science and Technology, Wudil, Yusuf Maitama Sule University, Kano, and Sadatu Rimi University of Education. Others are Kano State Polytechnic, Aminu Kano College of Islamic and Legal Studies, Audu Bako College of Agriculture, Dambata, Raibu Musa Kwankwaso College of Advanced and Remedial Studies, Tundunwada, and Kano State College of Education and Remedial Studies. He said the decision was in line with the state government's commitment to educational development, noting that this could be seen in the restoration of foreign scholarships for over 1,000 students. Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria has accused the Minister of Art, Culture and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musawa, of serving as a minister while undertaking the one-year mandatory National Youth Service Corps scheme. The group urged the NYSC to compel Musawa to focus on either her National Youth Service or the ministerial appointment. Reacting on Atlantic Television Open Conversation, a political analyst, Mr. Frank Eniawaji, cited that Hannatu Musawa's response over her ministerial appointment while as a copper at the NYSC is inappropriate and a national blunder.
The only surviving program of the federal government of Nigeria that has stood the test of time has not been corrected. This is the only program of the federal government of Nigeria that is going to 50 years. This 50 years of its existence. No other program of Nigerian government that existed like NYSC. And this is another way, another subtle way, I call it subtle way, to scuttle this program that Nigerian youths who are in the school, who have this, do you know the importance of this program? I knew how I actually struggled. I said, I must go to school to wear the uniform.
The analyst further called on President Tinubu and the NYSC authority to ensure a proper address to the issue.
Important issue. Certificate that is recognized by the Nigerian government, by corporate organization, that if you want to gain employment and you say you are a graduate, it gives you serious recommendation for you to be employed. And today somebody, because of political influence and interference, will tell Nigerians that she doesn't need NYSC to be a minister. For crying out loud, please, this is an abuse of power. This is an effort to kill NYSC in Nigeria. When in Nigeria, our political leaders are the ones trying to tell us that laws do not exist in Nigeria. And that's why they want to tell us that nothing is working in Nigeria. And if somebody appointed a minister who should have a certificate as one of our requirements, instead of Nigeria, she can be a copper. I mean, she can be a serving minister without NYSC certificate. While you have gone to school, then something is wrong in this country. And I want to say this without missing word. President Tinubu should also stand up and say something on this matter, because Adosun, former Minister of Finance, resigned her appointment because of the saga of, not that she was not a graduate of reputable university in the world, but because of NYSC certificate, she resigned her appointment. So I don't see also what should make Nigerians to keep quiet. Because the more you keep quiet, evil will kill education in Nigeria.
Yes, Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, has disclosed that the FCTA is considering transportation and food supply support with the 5 billion palliative naira received from the federal government. Wike said this in Abuja after a closed-door meeting with contractors handling different projects on the FCC. The federal government had earlier this month announced a 5 billion naira palliative for each state of the federation, including the FCT, to cushion the impact of the removal of the petrol subsidy. Some of the state governments have confirmed receiving 2 billion naira from the amount while waiting the 3 billion naira balance. However, the minister said that the FCT was not included in 5 billion naira palliative until he wrote a memo informing President Bola Tinubu of the development. You are watching the Transitional Atlantic Television Network. We'll return after this break. Welcome back. This is the Transitional Atlantic Television Network. An economic revival plan aimed at ensuring a new lease of life for Nigerians was released by the federal government. The plan includes bold economic reform, borrowing avoidables, foreign and domestic investment drive, restoration of national security, food security, job creation, and promotion of accountability. President Bola Tinubu, who reiterated his commitment to economic revitalization, that he will not permit indolence or any act of capable derailing by his renewed hope agenda by any of his ministers. He gave a matching order to the 45 members of the Federal Executive Council to perform or be ready to be fired for incompetence. The president, who presided over his administration's maiden FEC meeting at the council chambers of the presidential villa, Abuja, advised the ministers to brace up for the challenges of governance. Following the opening of Cameroon's Lagdo Dam, the federal government has said that intense flooding will be experienced in some states in the next 7 days. The Minister for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, gave this prediction when she hosted the Minister of Water Resources, Minister of Environment, as well as other stakeholders on ways to mitigate the impact of the flooding in Nigeria. The minister assured Nigerians that shelter will be provided to residents in flood-prone states. National Emergency Management Agency was alerted over impending flood along the River Benue Basin. According to the alert, the Cameroonian government has plans to open the floodgates of the Lagdo Dam on the Benue River in days ahead. National Emergency Management Agency has received an alert over imminent flooding on the banks of River Benue. The alert was issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in a letter dated August 21st. The letter, which was signed by Umar Salisu, the ministry's Director of African Affairs, said the Cameroonian government plans to open the floodgates of the Lagdo Dam on the Benue River in days ahead. Reacting to the Atlantic Television blowout, an environmental expert, Dr. Roland Douglas, expressed worries at the federal and state government's reluctant attitude over flood situations in the country.
2022, we had no flood gate of Cameroon coming into Nigeria. It was just the rainfall. And apparently that also has to do with our drainages being blocked, buildings being, occupying spaces where water naturally has to flow. Now, Cameroon opening their floodgate is going to be a disaster that will be unimaginable. And I'm worried that every time such things happen, our government, rather than being proactive, are always being reactive. And as at that time they are going to be reacting, we would have lost lives, lost farmlands, lost properties. And we have the resources and we have the technology to set up these precautionary mitigative steps. So it baffles me why we should be on this same narrative year in, year out. In fact, we are yet to fully recover from the 2022 flooding itself. There are still some areas that are, at this moment, have massive erosion as if it was being excavated. And all we were doing was just busy talking and visiting. But right now, we are challenged with such a way that we can't avoid it. And it baffles me that this federal government, the state government, the local government are not showing that practical steps to mitigate this natural disaster that we cannot run away from. And so, thank God Cameroon is telling us, assuming they behave the way we Nigerians behave, they just open it up and then let it be, because they have taken steps, because they've already seen what is going to happen with this consistent rainfall that is coming on.
He also solicits for appropriate and timely response against the current predictions and flawed forecasts by stakeholders.
Time the federal government stop talking and begin to act. We've got the resources. Evacuate the communities that I know are going to be highly impacted to, high hill areas. Provide the temporary makeshift tents for them, and then begin to engage a lot of the critical stakeholders in the medical aspect, in the environmental aspect, and even in security as well, so that we can reduce this impact that we know is going to be very enormous. And so for me, federal government, it's time they begin to walk rather than talking. And it shouldn't just be NEMA itself alone. It should be a conglomerate of the local government, the state government, and of course the federal government, where you have both Ministry of Works, Ministry of Environment, and NEMA itself to work together. And then of course the National Orientation Agency should now go on a very high, intense awareness and sensitization to all these communities that have been identified that are going to be negatively impacted, so that those people can begin to take temporary precautionary measures before they now start, getting consumed by this flood that is coming in.
And now to some business reports. Nigerian Labour Congress and Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria have disagreed over the management of the Contributory National Housing Fund. The NHF is an offshoot of NHF Act of 1992, which mandates all employers in both the private and public sectors to make monthly remittances to the fund. It is an initiative of the federal government aimed at mobilization of funds for the provision of affordable residential houses for Nigerians. The disagreement between the labor union and the nation's apex mortgage institutions stemmed from recent threats by the former that it would pull out of the contributory funds owing to its dissatisfaction regarding how the funds was being managed. While speaking in an interview, the group head of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Timenelayo, countered claims made by the NLC president, Joe Ajero, who told an investigative hearing organized by an ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives that administrative bottlenecks in the process of accessing the mortgage scheme had created room for corruption in the system. You're still watching the Transitional Atlantic Television Network. Now to international tidbits. Pakistan High Court has suspended former Prime Minister Imran Khan's prison sentence for a graft conviction. Spokesman for his party who disclosed this to newsmen said it was unclear if he would be immediately released. Islamabad High Court had overturned a lower court decision this month imprisoning him for 3 years, a judgment which has barred him from contesting upcoming elections. His lawyers, Gohar Khan, said he was granted bail, but they fear the 70-year-old will be rearrested in relation to one of the more than 200 cases leveled against him since he left office in April 2022. And now on to entertainment. Nigerian singer Divine Ikuba, popularly known as Brahma, has achieved another milestone as his song Calm Down with Selena Gomez became the first song in history to spend 1 year on the top of Billboard US Afrobeat Songs chart. American data collection company Charts Data disclosed this. The song has spent 52 weeks as #1 on the Billboard US Afrobeat Songs chart. It peaked #3 on the main chart, Billboard Hot 100, and reached #1 on the Canadian Top Song chart. Recall that Rema's Calm Down entered into the Guinness World Record as the first #1 hit on the official MENA chart, the world's first regional streaming chart. Calm Down debuted at #1 when the MENA chart was launched by the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry on November 29, 2022. Nigerian rapper Chibuzo Nelson, as who became famously known as Phyno, has announced that he is now a father. The artist took the internet by surprise with the announcement via his Instagram, where he posted an adorable picture of himself cradling a newborn baby to his chest, letting everyone know why he's been away all this while. In his caption, Phyno noted that his fatherhood journey has been wholesome so far. He also noted that he has been working on new music during his time off social media, as well as taking care of the little tot. The Nigerian artist also announced that he would be releasing new music on Friday. And now to sports. Ayimba chairman Nwankwo Kanu is upbeat the club will bounce back from the early ouster of the CAF Champions League. The Nigeria Professional Football League champions crashed out of the competition after losing 4-3 on aggregate to Al Ahly Benghazi of Libya. Finidi George's side lost to the first leg 4-3 and were held to a 0-0 draw in the reverse fixture. A disappointed Kanu stated that they cannot dwell too much on the defeat but need to move on. Ayimba are two winners of the CAF Champions League. FIFA has lifted the suspension on Sri Lankan football following assurances that there will be no political interference in the sports in the country. The Football Federation of Sri Lanka said it received a letter from FIFA removing the ban that it was imposed in January. In its letter, Football Global Governing Body said it took note of the move to hold fresh election at the FFSL next month and assurances from the Sports Ministry to allow the FFSL to function without government interference. Sri Lanka's men's team are ranked 204th in the world and the women 153rd. The World Governing Body of the Rugby also suspended Sri Lanka in May after alleging political interference in the administration of the game. And that's the size of the package. Thanks for joining us. I am Valentina Lawrence. You can follow us on all our social media platforms, on Twitter at Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube Atlantic Television Network, Instagram Atlantic TV Network. Do remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress.